Ladies and gentlemen, I want to use this opportunity once again to welcome you to the Lenny Robbins YouTube channel. Know your politics. Let's come together to create a better understanding. It's very important that we take our life serious, take our own existence serious. I've said it before. It's not a politician's existence we should be worrying about. We should be worrying about our own lives, our children's, and their children's lives also. I want to use this opportunity to jump into a video that I saw on the Prime Minister's speech Sunday night out in Old Harbour. And before I get into that speech, Mr. Prime Minister, I want to say this specifically to you. That gathering and that speech reminds me of 1972. Mike and Manley stopped in Old Harbour on a campaign tour just the same on a Sunday night, just like you did on a Sunday night. And it was all barricade for Old Harbour. No vehicle get in, no vehicle gets out. Same thing with your crowd. And your speech reminded me clearly of that night when Mike and Manley took up that tin of condensed milk and said it was 14 cents for the tin of milk at the time. And Michael Manley said this milk is too expensive. It is too expensive. When he said that, I can tell you, the roar that went up from that crowd is like an earthquake. I don't know how the clock that is standing in the square of Old Harbour did not crumble to the ground. The roar that went up on that night. If it was somewhere else, it was at the foot of Blue Mountain Hills, I think it would have brought down the hills. And I do believe that helps to propel the PMP into power in the next general election that was coming up. But a couple of months after they got in power, the same condensed milk which was selling for 14 cents and was too expensive now became, I think it was 22 or 24 cents within months. And I make that comparison, sir, because all that was done by Michael Manley was promise. And all that you said Monday night is a promise. And ladies and gentlemen all over Jamaica, wherever you are, I'm saying this loud and clear. Whatever politician said on his campaign trail, on his platform, at the podium, whatever he says, he or she says, is just a promise until fulfilled. It is a promise until fulfilled. Never lay, as we said back in Jamaica, don't put your pot on the fire. Put your pot on fire and wait. It is a promise. When it is fulfilled, then you can say, oh yes, oh yes. But just to get into your speech a little, Mr. Holness, you mentioned a few things you talked about. You even mentioned the bus service, you mentioned housing, you mentioned crime, you mentioned jobs. And you mentioned a few things, but I just want to touch on, you mentioned other things, but I just want to touch on a few things. I want to touch on your jobs, crime, which is two big things in Jamaica right now. And I'll briefly say something about, well, I can say briefly about the housing thing you projected. Like I said, that's all the projections that are promised to me, but what is on the table so far sounds good, sounds real, sounds like a good first step. A good step is being taken there in terms of housing for Jamaican people, because people need good quality housing, especially affordable housing. And in any community, sir, what I noticed you did not add, though, and I would suggest that you do, in any community that houses are being built, there should be a percentage of those houses set aside at all times. All times. For the lower class of people. There should be a percentage of those houses set aside for the lower class of people. That's one way to also help, a faster way to help ease the burden of housing in Jamaica. So overall, I want to say something about your speech before I begin to break it down prospectively, getting into certain topics, certain areas of your speech. If I were to grade you, if I was your professor in school, Mr. Andrew Holness, I would really grade you a B++. I don't know if you've ever gotten that grade, those kind of grades in university. I got those grades in university, B++. And the reason for that is that I made good points, but I wasn't detailed enough. I made some good points in my paper, but it wasn't detailed enough. The point that I raised was not detailed enough. So I got a B++, which I'm I'm on the brink of an A- grade. You understand? Still give me a 90, so I was satisfied with that. And that's where I would grade you for your overall speech. Well, let me get down first of all, sir, about the jobs. And you gave a number of the amount of people that is not employed in Jamaica today. I also gave the number of your unemployment rate. And you said in your speech that employment rate is down to 3%. Now, the amount of people you mentioned that is not employed in Jamaica and the amount of job vacancy that still existed, and those people just need to be trained and placed in jobs, leads me to wonder, sir, if that amount of people you mentioned that is not working, what percentage of society that the employment that represent? Because 3% of your employment rate is down to 3%. 3% of the society. Does those people represent 3% of the society? That's the first question I need to ask. Because I think, sir, you were not misinforming people in that. I think you were disinforming people. And there's a great difference between disinformation and misinformation. Misinforming and disinforming. There's a very big difference, and I think you were disinforming the people there. I don't think you were honest about that, and that's my opinion, and I've got to shout it out and say it loud as clear as I can. I had to align your job, what you said about jobs and vacancies and all of that, with the recent budget speech by your very Minister of Finance. And how you tried to dovetail it, what you said Sunday night, to what was said in the budget speech. But at the time, your minister never given any information as to what population, what your employment rate was, or what your population number was that was not working or employed in the society. But I now notice that months after you come with figures. Employment is now down to 3%. And this is one of the reasons why, so when I dovetailed both arguments, I say you were disinforming the people. Honestly, you were disinforming the people. Because of what both of you said, if what both of you said is true, then even when the country trains those people who are not working and place them in the open vacancies that are available, you would still need more people to complete the vacancy that you guys are talking about. We would still need as a country more people. So we might have to import people. But let me say this to you, sir. The number you mentioned, just go up to North St. Catherine. Commission Dan Anderson to do a poll of North St. Catherine, starting from Hope Kent Village, going up to Bagwalk. All the communities, Linstead, Time and Patience, name it, Treadways, all Yuatan, go all up to Mount Rasa, to North St. Catherine, cover all the districts and communities in that North St. Catherine division area. And I'm sure there are more people in those places not working, more people who are unemployed than the number you gave Monday, Sunday night. I am sure you can find more people not working than the number of people you quoted Sunday night. And let us be factual, sir. When we say work, what are we talking about? I know you're aware of all the information and the data that surrounds employment and non-employment or unemployment. I know you're aware of that, sir. I know you're well aware of the people who are seeking jobs, the people who are working, those are seeking jobs, those are not seeking jobs. I know you know all of that. So we won't go into that. And I know you guys take all of that in consideration. But let us look at it From the common sense perspective, give Dan Anderson the poll. They commission him to do that poll for the Jamaica Labour Party, for the country. And see how different his number is going to be. I guarantee you that his number of unemployment alone in North St. Catherine is going to be different from what you quote for the entire country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying this because I want to let you know that it's not that I'm bashing the JLP or the Prime Minister as such. But remember, the Prime Minister speak about truth. Whatever the JLP said is truth. Whatever he's saying is based on truth. Accountability, responsibility, transparency, facts, honesty. If all these things are real, then why can't we be honest about what we are saying? Why can't we be detailed in what we have to say? Why are we so much speaking from the walls of doubt just to impress people? Why are we still projecting this feel-good smokescreen story? Why? Jamaicans, we have to wake up, we have to realize and start to, like I said, we have to start to realize what is happening around us politically. And for those out there who are still saying we don't care about politics, you better wake up out of your sleep. Because one day you're going to wake up from that. The day you decide to wake up from that sleep, maybe too late for you. Politics has taken away everything from you. Even your own voice. You won't have a say again. It is important, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in Jamaica, let us take this thing serious. It is our life, it is our existence. I've always said it. It's not the politician's existence, it's our existence. Our children existence. And stop and think about it. Stop and think about it. Do you want to leave the same Jamaica for your children? Do you want to see your children come up doing the same thing when election time comes, jump in an orange shirt, jump in a green shirt, and jump on the bandwagon and the parade bandwagon and campaign bandwagon and all of these things? And his children come and their children keep going through the same thing and no one life is better? Is this what we want for ourselves and Jamaica and our children and their children? Is this what we want? If politicians is talking about truth, honesty, transparency and all of those things, the very first thing they have to do, is to learn to give detailed information. That is what is called honesty. That is truth. That is transparency. That is responsibility. And that is respect for you, the voter, most of all. Be detailed with the information you're giving me. We understand the vagaries of all these things, Mr. Prime Minister. But support people with information with real details. Support your speech with detail. I'd also like to go on and speak about your crime that you mentioned. Crime, sir. Oh, crime is down, murder is split in half, you decline that by half and all of these things, and crime is down, and you're asking people to name you one community where a person can walk into now and or is afraid to walk into Jamaica. Well, again, I ask you, Dan Anderson, sir, to do the poll for you and find out how many people still afraid to walk into Tivoli Garden. How many people is worried about walking into jungle right now? If you think there are communities where people not afraid to go, you go on the street and ask people. I get Dan Anderson to do it for you. I know you brag and boast about this though, sir. And that is all well and good. I'm not saying it has not helped. I can't say that. I cannot say it has not helped. It has helped to the extent it can help. But here is where it has not helped. And I want Jamaica to listen to this explanation and tell me if I'm wrong. Jump into the comment column of this video and tell me that I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'll be happy to shut my mouth. when a set of gunmen, let us say 2 gunmen, stepped into a yard or a home and shoot a man and kill them, or 2 persons, or shoot up a place and kill 2 or 3 persons in a yard, that incident, that act affects that particular yard or home. The yard or home or whomever survived that shooting, they are the silent victim. Everybody in that yard is a victim of that shooting. But the community itself is not a victim of the crime directly. The community now suffers from the fear of the crime. What the community suffer is the fear of the crime. So tell me, ladies and gentlemen, I've never heard, let me say this before, I've never heard a minister from either JLP nor the PMP. I've never heard a think tank coming out, national security think tank or crime fighting think tank. Nothing of the sort. I've never heard nothing, no panel they have put together on crime fighting in Jamaica or anything address the issue of the fear of crime. The scenario I painted a couple of seconds ago. Now, when things like that happen, can you imagine, tell me anyone, what happens to the fear of crime in that community? Even though the law enforcement of the country may be able to stop that from happening again in that community, may be able to put a pause on it, because we can't say completely stop. So even though their presence are now in that area, let me ask you something. What happens to the fear of crime in that area? Does it go away? Does it disappear? And as it relates to statistics, Mr. Prime Minister, because you gladly boast about the reduction of crime and all of these things. And that, like I said, I'm not challenging those figures. I'm just trying to bring out broader perspective to these things so that people can understand some of the crap that is missing out of these things. Because yes, police may be more active, police may give them more powers, more authority to go out and do what they have to do to kill, arrest and all of these things. And that may be working. I'm not saying it's not. But sometimes, Mr. Prime Minister, you and I both know, and all of you guys sitting in your eye offices knows that it's not just police action alone reducing crime in the country. The very gunmen themselves can realize that police activity has changed, police action has changed. Police is now more alert, they are more being driven. They are responding in quicker time, faster time. They are being more equipped. They are more mobile. So we, the gunmen, need to redefine the way we also function so they can take a break. They themselves can take a break. Disappear from the scene. And redefine their strategy to come back out again. And I say this, ladies and gentlemen, because I want to paint also an example, give an example from my perspective. The recovery of gun also helps to reduce crime. But let me speak something about the recovery of guns. Let me say something about that. Let us say for every month, there's 12 months in a year. Great. But the police is on average to recover 20 guns per month. But there's 1 month in the year, 1 month in the year, where the police recover 200, let us say 240 guns or 220 guns in 1 month, because they caught a shipment and they recovered 220 guns in 1 month. Now, for 11 months, they recover 20 guns on average per month. That is 220 guns for that month. In the other month that completes the year, here's the outlier figure. 220 guns were recovered. So for the entire year, they recover what? 440 guns. But when you break that down on an average monthly, 440 divided by 12. 12 into 44. 3 times 8. 12 into 80. 6 times 8. When that is broken down, you may see the statistics published as 37 guns per month. When in truth and in fact, these guys only recover 11, 20. For 11 months straight, they recover 20 guns. Then an outlier month that push the figure up to 37, they sell it to you as recovering 36 guns or 37 guns per month. There's a number of factors they're not explaining. They're not detailed with it. They're just telling you this is happening and this is happening. And it's for us to begin to think outside of the box, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying what they're saying is lie, because I'm not there to say what they're saying is misleading. We're just trying to bring a broader perspective to things so people can open their mind and begin to think for themselves. Don't accept it because it's on the surface. Yes, it is so. You understand? So the crime we are talking about, no one is attempting to allay the fear of crime. Nothing has been done about that. Stopping a murder from happening in the era of Mr. Prime Minister doesn't mean the fear of crime goes away. That's not how it works. And we have to be more sensible to it too. And people, for our good, we have to be more sensitive to our own feelings and our thing. I know a lot of people sit back and say, boy, oh yeah, boy, the tension not so high, and the community tension not so big, so we can do this and we can get out now and go down the road and go to the market and all of these things. But you're still looking over your shoulder. Why are you looking over your shoulder? Why are you listening? Why are you walking and listening for things, or driving and listening? What are you looking and observing about? Why? Because the fear of crime never goes away. So if we're going to measure, have a true measure of how successful we are with reducing crime, and brag and boast about it, how can we successfully brag and boast of a statistical figure of crime reduction when the fear of crime remains the same in the community? We haven't changed anything in a real sense. And government knows that there's a lot they can do from that perspective. They know that. Because the minister says, the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister said in his speech Sunday night, there's a number of jobs out there needs to be filled. So you, Mr. Prime Minister, and you and Minister and your government and also your Minister of Finance can do a lot of stuff, allocate a lot of funds to help to reduce the fear of crime by training kids, training youth, and get them in jobs and living wage job. So you help to reduce the fear of crime in communities across the island. Let's not kid ourselves. If we're going to talk, we have to talk facts and let people know how we can do it, how it can be done. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to use this opportunity to, to jump into what Mr. Andrew Wolin is saying. I'm not, like I said, I have no dog in the fight, Mr. Wolin, and, I not bashing PNP, I'm not bashing JLP, I'm not bashing Mark Golden or Mr. Andrew Wolin. But I have to see and speak and think that I see it, Mr. Holness. And that's who I am. And that's my purpose here. You understand? I'm not going to say you're corrupt or the party's corrupt or jail or PMP's corrupt or Margolin corrupt. No. I leave that to others to say that. You understand? Because I realize it's futile calling the parties corrupt. It doesn't make sense. It won't change a thing. There's always be corruption in politics. You understand? Because the cornerstone of politics is power. And power breeds corruption, absolute power breeds absolute corruption. That's just basic, simple, basic mathematics. The calculus of that can't change. No matter who want to talk or say this or say that, the calculus of that will never change. So I'm just using my platform to inform Jamaicans that it's time we wake up, time we start to use our common sense and start to look at what is happening around us. Take our politics serious, take our politicians and what they don't do, what they do and what they don't do very, very serious. Our lives is at stake. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you all again to all Jamaicans wherever you are in the diaspora. I know I sometimes keep repeating the same thing, but like I said, I think it's important to be repeated, to be repeated, to be repeated. Because if the politicians themselves can be making promises year in, year out, year in, and you do the same thing, you respond to them the same way year in, year out, not realizing that nothing is changing for you, then I too can keep saying what I'm saying. Because one day you're going to wake up to what I'm saying and you're going to realize exactly what I'm saying. They don't have us at the top of their list. They don't have us at the top of their list. And there's a reason why the country is divided politically. They don't want to see us unite. They don't want the people to unite. No. They don't want. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lenny Wabin YouTube channel. Like I said, know your politics. Let's come together, create this understanding, the better understanding for each other by watching what our politicians say and do, so that we ourselves can watch what they do, and by extension, what they don't do and what they don't say. You understand? Because either way, we are affected. We are the ones who are affected. We are the ones who are challenged. We are the ones whose existence is on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, Lenny Robbins YouTube show. Over and out. Blessed love to all Jamaicans wherever you are. Stay strong, stay safe. Be blessed.